don't know if this will work or not, so we'll try it. We'll see if I get the circle of death. I doubt anybody will watch this because they're all doing 4th of July festivities. Like Pale Rider, I know he's at home. Burger, are you at home? If not, you should have called me today. Yukon is not watching this. That's what I thought. Yukon never watches my stuff. So it's been a pretty easy day. Anthony T, what's up? I'm working. I thought you were home. No. Evidently, you missed my last live feed, Mr. Burger. We found a couple of good paying loads going back and out and back, out and back. So now I ain't doing no long runs like Big Ridge there with the stuff to Oregon, but it's been about 8 years since I've been that way. You missed a lot lately. I know, you're busy. You're a busy man. Mr. Burger, you're a busy man. That reminds me, there was a picture I was going to send you today. I'll have to send it to you later. I think Jeff's out there cooking. Roscoe was supposed to go live today and he didn't. Hey, Brent. Brent says, good evening to Snowlord and the group. Wishing everyone an enjoyable 4th of July. Our cats have been hiding under the couch for the last hour from the noise. Yeah, hold on to those animals, man. A friend of mine, this couple that I know, they lost their dog out there in Florida because she got scared. They're still looking for her because of the fireworks. Now, speaking of which, the fireworks scared me last night. So I'm sitting here in the middle of nowhere last night at a truck stop, pretty quiet truck stop, and I'm having trouble sleeping, right? And I just get ready to drift off, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. And at first I thought it felt like you could feel a concussion. So I thought maybe someone was tampering with the truck. So of course I get up, and I know Food Mooch knows that look well, what it looks like when I wake up, startled, and was looking around and there was nothing. Then I heard the noise again. I figured out it was fireworks, but I couldn't see them because they were behind us. Evidently that town I was in was having their fireworks show, and that's what I was hearing. But it kind of freaked me out for a second because I didn't, it sounded like someone was banging on the trailer or banging on the door. CPAP, you got started last night too? Hey Tiffany, what's up? So, last night was not fun because I didn't sleep well. Even beyond that, because I was at an incline, and so I felt like I was like that with my head down low. I gotta buy a new mattress. If you go by the Joplin Petro, there's this new mattress company, and I was really intrigued with it. They got a sample that you can sit on. Man, it was kind of nice, but it was pricey too. It was like $550. So, but I just had dinner. I don't know what I don't have a mouse in my pocket. I had Brussels sprouts, not broccoli, and I had chicken, and I had, yeah, that's it. You're out of beer, Yukon? Well, you should remedy that. Now, Yukon, are you a beer connoisseur, or do you just buy whatever's on sale? Daniel Nottingham, what's up? Did you ever find anything good out of Indy there, Daniel? Or are you just like, screw it, and you're home? Was it a purple mattress? No, it was, I forget the name of the brand. It's a brand new display. I mean, I'm in and out of Joplin all the time. It was a brand new display I'd never seen. But no, it wasn't purple. A friend of mine sent me a link to a mattress he paid $150 for, and he said it's the best mattress he's ever had in the truck. Cancel when he got there. Man. Yeah, that happens a lot in the holidays too. I'm sure you're well aware of that. Like I'm telling you something new. That's what I was afraid of. I'm still kind of afraid that because the load I'm picking up is Friday and I booked it 2 days ago. So usually that gives, whenever there's that kind of gap like that, there's usually more room for error. Especially when I think the broker I used is a third-party logistic. You never know what you're getting with them. So, but Big Rich just had a good video, man. He was smoking, you know, he's quit smoking. He tried one cigarette today and got sick, which I've heard that's what happens. And gave the rest away. And he's trying to get healthier. So, Yukon, I was out on the deck with my tits and belly hanging out, slamming beers while neighbors watching Zero given. Till Saturday, Burger. So I'll be out here for a couple more days. Tomorrow will be an easy day. I just got to do 40 miles to the delivery, and then about 150 miles to the pickup. America. Had a friend of mine send me a video. I forget the name of the artist, but he has a song called America. Pretty funny video. I guess he's gonna drive their tour bus, so congrats to you. If you're watching, you know who you are. Never did say what kind of beer you're getting there, Yukon. Or did you? But Jenny Light. Big Rich, what's up? I was just bragging about you earlier. Daniel Adami, PBR. My band used to play at this club, this really crap hole club. They had PBRs for $1 in a can. Yeah. Those were some weird times. You guys remember, like, if you went to the grocery store and like in the generic aisle, like back in the day, back when I was a kid, they used to have like the generic, like plain white or plain yellow box stuff in like one aisle. And I remember they used to have beer, and it was just like a white can that said beer on it. I bet you that stuff tasted awesome. I don't know if you guys ever saw that. Yeah, there's like flashing lights over here or something. But we're just chillaxing. I just had dinner. Listening to Howard Stern earlier, and he was talking about he was interviewing Jerry Seinfeld, and I guess he's got a new show on Netflix I'm gonna check out. My first live gig was playing the national anthem for a charity walk. Nobody liked my metal version of it. Oh well. Burger, have you heard Hetfield and Hammett do their stuff for the San Francisco Giants? It's pretty cool. No, but used to buy a bag of candy for $1 when I was a kid, says CPAT. Jonathan Houston, what's up? Yeah, Burger, if you get on YouTube, what will happen is James Hetfield and Kirk Hammett will do the national anthem with the guitars, and they'll kind of do it together, and it's pretty cool. My first paid live gig, says Yukon, was in the pit for The Sound of Music. Send a pie. CPAP's probably heard that, right? You gotta love technology, man. You know, Big Rich was talking about that. Big Rich was talking about a guy that's been out here for 20 years and was barely getting above $2 a mile for the rates because he didn't know any better. And it's because, you know, you get a lot of these old guys that won't embrace technology to help them further their, you know, their business. And technology kind of helped me today. There was a truck stop I was aiming for, and I went to look at the paid parking. You know, it's Pilot, so you can see how many paid parking spots are left. And if that number's low, that usually indicates that the lot is probably full. So I didn't want to reserve it, didn't want to take a chance, but this rest area I'm at is a lot better anyways. Never played in a metal band. Well, you're more of a blues style player, aren't you, Yukon? I mean, that's what I saw you play. Brent says, here I was thinking getting back in shape. And after all my nightly walks, then I did 50 calf races and legs have been sore for 3 days. Anthony, I'm glad I made it out of Laredo this morning. DOT thick as fleas between Laredo and the checkpoint, pulling anyone and everyone over. You know, I haven't really seen a whole lot of cops. Traffic hasn't been too bad today, and I had to go through Memphis and Birmingham. Now everybody's been rude, like getting that left turn signal to get me over. That ain't happening. You know, I felt like I was back in my orange days again. You know, because no one lets the Snyder truck over, right? And but that's the only issues I've had, knock on wood. And the truck stops have been surprisingly full, according to Truckers Path, because I guess a lot of guys got stuck out here on the road doing these 500-mile runs and had nowhere to go. Captain Jack, yep. Jimi Hendrix. You know what's ironic about that whole Jimi Hendrix deal at Woodstock? His management demanded that he played last. Like, he had to be the headliner, right? And you know, I'm pretty sure it was all management. You know, Jimi Hendrix didn't care either way. By the time he got up there to do that, like 90% of the crowd was gone. You're an hour from the house, couldn't make it, stupid e-logs. Daniel Adami's got the mega carrier rules for that personal conveyance. I've done that. One of the first weeks I was on e-logs, I had a load that went from the mall in Bloomington, Illinois to the mall in Springfield, Missouri. And I was out of time, and I was literally 2 miles from my house. I couldn't get home. And I didn't want to leave the truck in the parking lot where I was at by itself. So that kind of sucked. Log out and drive. Yukon. Well, CPAP, he can do a number of things legally, but it's his company, and ultimately, it's the one who owns the numbers that makes that rule. You know, UX Schneider guy should know that. Schneider won't even let you use PC unless you're bobtailed with nowhere to go, which kind of defeats the purpose, really. Even with the new rules, you know, they had to put out a memo saying, we're aware of the new rules, but you know what? Until we say elsewise, nothing's changed. Elsewise, is that a real word? No. But we had a nice little rainstorm here when I parked. Brought the temperature down about 15 degrees, so it's kind of nice. And I can sleep in tomorrow, so if I don't sleep well tonight, I'll be able to sleep in a little bit tomorrow. As long as I'm within an hour away, boss says come home. So how you liking that company driver life? Yukon, are you going to come back to the owner-operator world? Do you miss the owner-operator world? Kind of hard to give up sometimes unless you get a really, really good local job. Our company, Anthony says our company limits PC to 1 hour. After that, it kicks you automatically into drive again. Wow. See, that's the problem is not only do you got the gray areas of the DOT, but then every company does it different, you know. That's why when you go to work for a company, you have to do 2 or 3 days of orientation just to see what their version of the BS is. And, you know, orientation here was, hey, sign all the stuff at Jeff's kitchen table, and then Gear Grabber taught me how to use the E-Log. That was it. Companies saying they can usurp the law with policy. It's BS. Yeah. You know, but that's the thing, though. There's two kinds of people in this world, okay? You either work for the man or you are the man. A friend of mine told me that, and it's kind of stuck with me because that was kind of the deciding factor to go from, yeah, I might be an owner-operator to, you know what? Maybe I need to seriously think that. You know, and then the wife and I had a powwow, and the rest is history. And, you know, and I'll tell you this, guys. I sucked. Okay, you guys want to hear a story? You guys want to hear a story? Story time. You guys like my stories, right? Here we go. So yesterday, I was picking up this load, right? The shipper, they have you open the doors at the gate, and thank you, Brent. And then you open your doors, you slide your TAMs to the rear, and then you have to pull forward, and then you find a parking space, and then you walk into the shipping office. Standard fare, right? So I do that, and as I'm getting ready to back in the spot, this bobtail, this international bobtail, he's like, I almost hit him because he's trying to sneak up around me, and I don't know why, because he doesn't have a trailer, you know. And he was going fast, like he was on a mission, like he was angry about something, right? So I stopped and I, you know, just kind of sat there for a minute, and then he kind of moved, and I finally backed into my spot. So I didn't see who was driving the truck. So I walk in the office, and there's, of course, this is a long line, about 5 or 6 people. So that means I'm going to be standing there for about 10 minutes. And this guy, he is making a bunch of noise. He is, you know, you guys see it at the truck stop counter. You guys see it at the restaurants. You got Billy Big Rigger that knows anything and everything and hates everything. That's what this dude was. You know, and what started the conversation is this particular shipper, they, you know, after you know, they give you a door, and then you drop your trailer to that door, and you bobtail, and then you have to give them your keys. And they say any key will do, wink, wink, because they know it's hot outside and they know that drivers don't want to hang out in the lounge. So you can bring them a house key, they don't care. As long as you bring them a key, they'll start loading you. So it's amazing to me the amount of drivers that don't have spare keys. If you are driving a Peterbilt, you can go down to the Peterbilt dealership with your VIN number and they will make you a key for like less than $10. You know? So this hateful guy, I'm gonna, what should I call him? Let's call him Bocephus, okay? Bocephus proceeds to drill this guy who obviously is distraught by the fact that he has to leave his key because he wants to idle this truck. And even I got in the conversation, it's like, you don't have a spare key? And I asked him what kind of truck he had, and he goes, well, I have an International. I said, well, International, you can lock your keys in the truck. You can say none of them are safe. Okay. You guys are talking amongst yourselves, that's fine. So, I just kind of like, okay, whatever, you know, not my problem. And you know, and it's obvious this guy was new. You know, Bocephus, he's been out here a minute, so he had all kinds of nice comments to say to him, right? So, as that guy's checking in, Bocephus looks around and goes, man, you know, those Internationals are junk, man. But, you know, talk about how bad they are. And he goes, but, you know, what's worse is a PACCAR, you know. And basically, nobody asked him his opinion. He's got an audience, so he's got to tell, you know, there's like 4 drivers sitting down, 3 drivers in line, 3 drivers behind me, you know. And, right, Burger, I do the same thing. And then that got on to the whole, you know, you start talking about how bad his company was. And how bad, you know, how much money he wasn't making. And, you know, and through his bellowing out, I'd learned that he's a lease operator, but yet he's dispatched. And so I nonchalantly said, yeah, I got rid of a dispatcher years ago, right? And he kind of looks at me. And now, mind you, when I walked in, this dude looked me up and down like he was ready to fight me. And I had no idea why, right? And you know, maybe he hates long hairs. I was wearing a death metal t-shirt at the time. You know, it could have been a number of things, right? Bocephus is not impressed by my presence, right? So he starts griping about every single thing. And then he goes, I hate all truck drivers. I wouldn't pee on a truck driver if he was on fire. Because you guys, you know, you truck drivers are nothing but a bunch of trash, you know. Truck drivers are nothing but this, that, and the other. This industry's gone downhill. You know, the foreigners ruin it, blah, blah, blah. You know, all this hateful rhetoric, right? And what's funny is, I'm just like quietly looking at him, just like, you know, just kind of not trying to roll my eyes, you know, because I don't want Bocephus all mad at me, you know. So Bocephus' turn at the window to check in, and while he's checking in, one of the day cab guys is sitting in the table. He's like, you know, I was high strung like that. I got off the road. So Bocephus starts bellowing out again, and I'm like, he goes, yeah, man, I need to quit. I'm like, I think you do. I think you need to retire, you know. And he's like, well, I can't. You know, now all of a sudden he had like 20 excuses why he can't leave trucking. But then he bragged about his friend that's bringing home $1,100 a week as a company driver, and he's home every weekend. I'm like, well, then do that if that's such a good deal. And of course, he's one of those guys that if you offer him an answer or a perspective, he does not care. He wants the attention. He is hateful. Hateful, hateful, hateful. And I'm just like, I wish he would quit. Drivers like that is what brings the industry now. Not the new guys, not the foreigners. It's guys with that kind of crappy attitude. Hey, Barb. Orion, you're silly. And so, as I walk outside, I see that International Bobtail, and guess who was driving it? Mr. Bocephus. Driver backed up and hit you. Are you all right, Barb? Do you need to call 911? Hope you're okay. Snoring. Oh, Ryan, you're silly. Did you guys see that Troll and Ike Speed last night? It was Snorlord's guitar. One of my guitars actually snuck out and created a YouTube account and started posting on Ike's page. Now, hope everything gets resolved there, Barb. The complainer. CPAP says the complainers. This dude was beyond complaining. He hated trucking. See, that's the thing, man. You got a lot of people in trucking that don't know how to do anything else. They don't have social skills to go out there and get a good paying, office job. They don't have the fortitude or the willingness to get an education and change their career path. And then they become good truck drivers as far as like physically driving the truck and a good work ethic, but then they just hate this industry. And there's a lot of people driving trucks that hate driving trucks. I've known a couple that were good drivers, but they could not wait to get home. They could not wait to get off the road. And that's fine, whatever floats your boat, However, his blood pressure, he was talking about how he only gets a 1-year card. Mind you, this guy in the span of 15 minutes told us everything he hates, his whole life story, about how much his dispatcher sucks, about how much his company sucks, about how much his medical doctor sucks because he only gets 1-year card because he's got high blood pressure. And I'm like, well, dude, the way you respond to everything, it's no wonder that you only get a 1-year card. Yukon says, I like to mess with guys like that. They're idiots and it's fun. Normally I would, and I kind of did by telling him I took, it always boggles the mind. Big Rich ran across one of these guys today that these guys have been out here a while and they don't know about self-dispatch. They don't know about the Landstars and the Snyders and the other carriers that let you, pick your own freight. And it's like this guy was a lease operator paying all the bills, but he had absolutely no control over anything. He didn't have control over his truck. He didn't have control of where he went. He didn't have control of his own business. But yet it was everybody else's fault. It was everybody else's fault. It was the truck driver's fault. It's the DOT's fault. It's the E-Log's fault. It's the shipper's fault. It's the manufacturer of the truck's fault. That kind of thing. And that was why he glared at me, because he almost hit me. But yet I was the one at fault because he's the one that decided to get on my right side where I couldn't see him and cut in there. I'd ask him if he had a cell phone, tell him to call somebody who cares. He obviously wanted the attention because, like I said, nobody specifically asked him any of this information. He was just like, he had an audience. Everybody's watching him and no one had anywhere to go or could go anywhere. We were all stuck there. So now he's going to shout off the rooftop about how much he hates his job, hates his life, hates his truck, hates his dispatcher, hates the load he's on. And when I told him the rate I was getting for the same load that he was doing, I may have caused a mini stroke. May have caused a mini stroke with this dude. Give him my phone number, LOL. Orion. The blame game. You know, and when the Belloist, you know, when Bocephus left, you know, everybody's just kind of like laughing at him at this point, you know, and including the couple of foreigners that were in there that should have been highly offended what he was saying, right? And I said, you know, I've only been out here less than 10 years, right? But I know that attitude is 90% of what makes you do okay out here. I think that if I had to work with this dude as a dispatcher or a team driver or load planner, it would be complete hell, pure hell. And he has what you call the Chihuahua syndrome, okay? And I sat down with one of my dispatchers one time. We talked about the Chihuahua syndrome. Have you guys heard of the Chihuahua syndrome? Chihuahua syndrome is this. You take two dogs, okay? One is a German Shepherd, right? One's a Chihuahua, or whatever rat dog you want to think of, right? Little tiny dog, okay? Chihuahua's sitting there in the house. A leaf blows by. He barks at it. Somebody breathes wrong. He barks at it. The bird flies by the window. He barks at it. A burglar breaks in the house. He barks at it, right? No matter what happens, whether it's a little incident or a big incident, you know, just it's the same constant little bit of barking to the point that you shut him out. You don't care. You don't want to listen, right? And then you got the German Shepherd. Same scenario, but he doesn't bark except when the guy goes to break in the house. When that German Shepherd barks, something's up, right? And so I explained that to my dispatcher. I said, and I heard this on the radio, like in one of those call-in shows one time, about this whole Chihuahua syndrome, right? I said, look, I know you have drivers that are Chihuahuas. They constantly bark. They complain about the truck, the trailer, the place that you sent them to, the color of the truck, where they're going, you know, all these different things. And then when they finally have a legitimate, like, I have a problem, you can't tell because everything is a problem with them. Whereas me, I said, I'm the German Shepherd. I'm not going to call you to bother you about trivial stuff. I'm not going to call you unless I absolutely need something. It's either a bad pickup number or loads canceled or something, you know, to the effect where I can't do my job. I said, other than that, all the little stuff, I'm going to keep that to myself. You know, whether it's your fault or not, because I know that there's a bigger picture to be painted here. And so if you hear me call, if you hear me bark, there's a problem. I'm not going to call you and gripe about how it's raining too hard today. And there are drivers out there that do that. They call their dispatcher and complain about every little thing. And, you know, look at the Facebook pages on Schneider. Man, there's a lot of guys that complain about every little thing that Schneider does. You know, and those are the people that are struggling because it's all about attitude. Hey David, what's up? Can we do a separate video on the Chihuahua syndrome? I'm going to use it. Well, that's it, Orion. That's. I mean, I'm not sure what you're asking me. You ought to do a video about the Chihuahua syndrome. Apartment CPAP won't let me on the closet. So, Bocephus here, he was not a happy camper, and I'm guessing that within 5 years he's going to be dead because he's going to have a heart attack or an aneurysm, one too many times when things don't go right. You know, if you hate trucking to the point that you're insulting all the drivers, you have no, you know, Thor's always talking about brotherhood. You have no, you know, I don't help drivers. I don't do anything. I'll pull pins when they piss me off, you know, that kind of thing. It's time for you to get out of the truck, man. It's time for you to become a Walmart door greeter or live under the bridge or something, you know? And those are the people that make this industry worse than it is. Can you imagine being a dispatcher or a broker dealing with people like that? You know, and a lot of the complaints that you hear about brokers, it's the same kind of stuff. I can't tell you how many times on the rate pages where someone said, oh, hey, check out what this broker did, and everything he listed is not even in the broker's control. It's just an industry problem. You know, like something happened with the truck, something happened with the load, something, you know, and it's not the broker's fault. And people jump on that, you know, and all the broker bashing, like it's the broker's faults that there's like all this bad stuff in the industry. They're just a piece of the puzzle. If you don't know how to educate yourself to know how to talk to the brokers, guess what? You're going to struggle. And if you're not a people person, like let's say Bocephus was in the spot market and did have to book his loads, would you want to be the broker that dealt with him? You know, and it reminds me of the guy in one of the rate pages that said, oh yeah, when I'm doing a load for a very cheap rate, I don't do check calls at all. I give them poor service. And I'm like, you're a moron, because number one, who's forcing you to take that low rate? Number two, you accepted the rate and you're doing a service for that rate. And if you don't give them good service, why should they pay you in the future the money that you're actually wanting? You know, he was putting all the blame on the broker. It's the broker's fault that I didn't get this load where I wanted it, or, you know, how much money I wanted. No, there's this really simple action if you don't like the rate. It's called doing this. There you go. And attitude is the huge part of this industry. Everybody talks about numbers and strategies as far as dealing with spot market or dealing with short haul and long haul. You know, we can talk numbers till we're all blue in the face. But if you have a crappy attitude like Bocephus does, then you're not going to get anywhere and you're going to struggle. Okay, Orion, why are you going to download my video? I'm sorry, I think you didn't give him a business card to join for a referral. Brent in Florida, you make a very good valid point. This is the kind of guy you don't want working for you at all, whether company owner operator. And yeah, he wasn't getting a referral card for me. And not only that, but when I was a company guy, the recruiters would actually ask my opinions on several drivers. And when, you know, I would go and meet them, I would almost interview these drivers for them. And if I could tell they were one of those, I'm like, oh, you're going to have problems with this guy. And every single time I was right. I can read people fairly decently. I'm not an expert, but when you see, you know, here's the thing. When I was driving a school bus, you know, half the school bus drivers were ex-truck drivers. And Big Rich. And the ones that complained, the ones that hated everything, those were the ones that always had to call security. They're the ones that always had the bad routes. They're the ones that always had to struggle every single day. A new phone figures. Oh yeah, I did that wrong. It's like click, right? I am stuck. Actually, I'm stuck in the 80s, Big Rich. I want it to be 1986 all over again. With the rotary dial. Hey, I still remember party lines. Remember party lines? Probably not, Rich. You're only 30 years old. Party lines is when you lived in a small town and everybody shared the same phone line. I've dealt with that. Back in the days when HBO was a little box, and that was the only cable you had. Brent. I don't know what Orion's planning on doing with the video. He wants to reference it, but you know, we all know with all these, you know, I don't know, you got everybody downloading everybody else's videos. Party line? No, not that kind of party line burger. I remember we didn't even have an exchange, just 4 digits. When phone numbers had letters in them. Yeah. I remember I had one of my first cell phones, the way the keyboard was set up, it didn't have the letters on the numbers because they had a separate keyboard for the texting. And so whenever there was like one of those, you know, 555, you know, word, you know, I couldn't dial it because I didn't know what it was. These guys are still rocking flip phones, don't care about the tech in the new phones. I'll tell you what, guys, I was one of those dudes for a long time. You know, I went to the smartphone world kicking and screaming, right? But then, once I figured it out, a whole new world was open to me. The angels sang. And I realized that I had the best tools for trucking that you could possibly have. Rich. I had a big Billy. Anthony says I had a Billy Big Rigger call me a steering wheel holder Sunday. I told him damn straight, because if I didn't, the truck would veer off and crash. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like they're quick to, like, everybody's quick to judge what level of trucker are you, right? And that amuses me because it's like I never heard the term steering wheel holder until the last, you know, when I got into trucking. But when I was riding with my dad, I never heard that term. You know, a lot of the people talk about the camaraderie of the old days. Depending on what part of the country you were living in. If you went to Jersey back in 80s, there wasn't camaraderie then either. It was every man for itself. And is there a lot more negative, you know, attitudes in trucking? Yes. Are the golden days of trucking over? Yes. However, it's more divided now than it was back then. You know, back then it was, you know, you're all kind of part of the same gang. But, you know, on that token though, you can look up old trucking documentaries and the Teamsters and the independents were constantly beating each other up. You know, my father-in-law was driving down, you know, a 2-lane road when 2 guys came up in a pickup and shot out his steer tires. For no reason. They just kept going. And what it was is there was labor disputes. He was a roadway driver. So, you know, these you know, there was truckers You can find any old 70s documentary. Look up the movie Convoy. They talk about a lot of the issues too. Truck drivers have been complaining about the same things for the last 50 years. The same things. The pay, the rates, the traffic, the roads, the DOT, the regulations, everything. It's been the same argument for the last 50 years. It's never going to change. It's always going to be a struggle. You have to love this job to a certain degree to be successful out here. Because when crap hits the fan and things are not going right, which is going to happen, there's a certain amount of passion that has to get you through those rough days. There's a certain amount of reward that has to get you through those rough days, because they're going to happen. I could have one of those tomorrow. Everything is more divided across the board. Orion. Exactly. Have you guys heard of NGA Bell? Neil Gabel? Do you guys know who that is on YouTube? He's a car hauler. And he's got stickers that he passes out. He's got a catchphrase that's on his truck, DAHF, Dumbass Freight Haulers. Right, DA, Dumbass Freight Haulers. DAFH, sorry. I'm a little dyslexic there. And he despises anybody that does not drive a car hauler. I don't care if you're a flatbedder. I don't care if you're independent with the reefer. You are a dumbass freight hauler. And a lot of the car haulers that I've come across have a lot of that same attitude. And, you know, you got the bull haulers that hate these people, and you got the reefers that hate this people, and then you're not a true operator unless you're driving a 379, or, you know, you're not a true truck driver if you drive an automatic. You know, all this stupid dividing stuff. And then they wonder why truck drivers are leaving in droves. They wonder why truck drivers are dying early in their age. Because we don't eat right, we don't sleep right, we don't exercise, and then on top of that, add all the stress of all the crap because we're all divided, because we can't like get it all together. You got guys like Bocephus from my story that they don't help the new guys. So the new guys have this crappy attitude, and it's like a disease. It's like a cancer. You know, everybody makes fun of Swift drivers. Well, Swift never has their CB radio on. Well, look at all the ridicule they get. Why should they have their CB radio on? You know, all the guys that complain about no one uses their CB radios are the cause for why no one else uses their CB radios. You know, you're not mad because the guy's not using a CB radio. You're mad because you can't bitch at the guy because he doesn't have a CB radio. That's why you're mad. I grew up here in Old Hand, veteran rookie in Greenhorn, going out on the road with my cousin. This is Anthony. Matt says, sorry to disagree, but there's a difference in drivers. I agree, Matt. I really do. You know, back in the day, you had to be kind of born into it. You definitely had to have passion for it. You definitely had to have a certain knack for it. And I agree with you, Matt. However, it wasn't as golden as they say it was. Is there a major difference? Yes. But I think that a lot of that has been self-inflicted. Yukon says, I use my CB radio to bitch about guys not using their CB radio. I always think that's funny. Big Rich says, I use my CB radio. I tell everyone off like a radio Rambo. My guitar's in the live feed. I've had some really bad days. Hearing my wife on the phone, my kids, makes everything I went through that day meaningless and the stress lifted. Right, Anthony, it's all attitude, man. I'm Gallagher, what's up? So, I guess this is another one of those videos that has absolutely nothing to do with the title. What does independence mean to you? Opportunity, ability, attitude, gratitude. I use it to tell everyone there's a new Pale Rider TV live. Just set off a bunch of fireworks. Yeah, you know, heart wasn't in it this year. I get away from the ex-wife of mine that makes Fatal Attraction look like a Disney movie. I don't know what you went through, Screaming Demon, but you talk about that in almost every live feed that I see you in. You had a rough time. I don't know what happened. Was she like the wife in, have you guys seen that movie Boogie Nights? Remember that one gal that the guy ended up killing her? It wasn't like that, was it? But that's what Independence Day means to me. That and a bunch of history stuff. A bunch of historical stuff. Proud just to be an American. I hear you. Feel the same way. When you won custody, Yukon, I've dealt with that. My oldest daughter, you got custody of her. Independence means being free from having the government dictate my life to me. What did my guitar say? I think I know who that is. But we are almost at an hour. APU is doing its thing. Happy 4th. Thank you, TJ. I need to go home and get some guitar therapy is what I need to do. We've actually had band practice a couple of times this month. That's actually kind of cool. If you're on my Facebook, Rich says, you know how I feel about this country. Big Rich is a big patriot. He is definitely up there. Yep, some trolls are fun. You know, my hateful trolls just text me directly from unknown numbers. Bunch of cowards. But my guitar gently weeps. I didn't delete you, Snorlord's guitar. Yeah, there's a few funny trolls out there. One of my other favorite trolls is Captain Obvious. If you look at his profile pic, it's actually the truck from the toy the truck for the toy company in Maximum Overdrive, the lead truck. Steve Berger, I didn't do anything. Berger, I know who Snorlo's guitar is. It's cool. It's all right. It's the offending trolls, the guys that are hateful, or the gamers. Those are the ones that we want to take care of, Berger. It's all good, man. But yeah, Captain Obvious is funny. I think he's up there with SoCal's Mustache. Who's the other one? There was another one. Oh. Alright, guys. I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. How's freight looking? Freight's looking good, man. That's why I'm out here. I wouldn't be out here for my health. I'd rather be at home, hanging out with my family. But you know, my kids are at that age where my daughter still gets in the fireworks, but my son, he'd rather just spend time on the computer. And it seems like the last few years, I'm the only one blowing stuff up that cares. So, so I was like, you know, I might as well make some money this week. So, all right, Burger. But yeah, freight's doing pretty good right now. There's a lot of good rates coming out of Georgia, but you got to be careful. A lot of it's produce, and it ain't going to hit the shelves. The national average keeps going up and up and up, and my battery's about to die. So, that being said, guys, thanks for watching. And I guess I'll leave this up, and you guys take it easy. So, see ya.